How to buy 2 to 4 units with an FHA loan. What's going on, everybody? It is Jeff Javarthan, Jeff the Mortgage Pro. Thanks so much for watching. As always, I really appreciate when you like and subscribe to my videos. If you can make sure you do that down below, it really helps me get my message, my word out to all the different people out there. So thanks so much for doing that. I appreciate all the help so far, and hopefully we can get this to over 1,000 subscribers someday and maybe over 10,000 at some point. Who knows? I don't know how big this is going to get. But hey, let's talk today about how to buy a 2 to 4 unit property with an FHA loan. So the first step that you're going to need to do is to determine whether or not you're eligible for an FHA loan. And the only reason why you probably wouldn't be eligible for an FHA loan is that you already have one right now. So for the most part, you can still use an FHA loan to buy a 2 to 4 unit property. So one of the caveats of this, remember, is that if you're going to get an FHA loan, it has to be owner occupied. That means anywhere from 2 to 4 units, you have to live in one of the units. So even though you can rent out the other units, you have to have one of the units as your primary residence. Now, that's not to say that you can't have roommates and help them pay for you, pay for your unit that you're going to be owning, but you still have to have one of the units considered as your primary residence when you're using an FHA loan. So remember that caveat. Okay, 5 steps here. The first one, like I said, is determine if you were able to qualify for a FHA loan. Number 2, figure out how much of a loan that you can qualify for. So one of the great things about doing an FHA loan for multifamily property is the down payment. So we can go as little as 3.5% down when you're buying an FHA property with 2 to 4 units on there. That's, I think, is one of the craziest things that's out there in terms of guidelines. And the reason being is that these loans are backed by the government. And that means if you default, then the lender is going to get paid back. So they're willing to take more risk and go with lower down payments to help us buy these multi-unit properties, right? So I think it's a great benefit for you. When we're figuring out how much loan we can qualify for, we're going to need at least 3.5% down. Remember, we're going to need a good chunk of change for closing costs because we're going to have to roll our taxes and insurance into part of our monthly payment as well. So you're going to have a good chunk of change, a little bit more than 3.5%. That's just for the down payment, but then probably another 1 to 3% for the actual closing costs themselves. That's just an estimate, by the way. That's not an exact number or an exact science to be able to tell how much of a closing cost you need. Okay. So one of the cool things about using an FHA loan to buy these properties is that you can use the potential rental income that's coming in from the other units that you're not using as your primary residence to help you offset the debt payment of your mortgage going forward. So in the beginning, when we're getting qualified, we're just going to estimate what those rents are. So we can, when you're out looking for properties, you can see what those rents are because you can ask the seller what the rental income is on the existing units that are out there. And you can help determine which of the units that you would want to rent out. And you can figure out how much rent there is. But that's not the last part. We'll talk about that here in a second here, about how much the rents you could be charging could be. So step number 3 is to find a trusted realtor. And what I would say when you're looking for a realtor is, number 1, you want somebody who's dealt with FHA loans before. Oftentimes sellers don't like FHA loans just because of the stipulation that you can back out at any point during that transaction if you can't get a loan. They don't like that you can do that. But at the same time, FHA loans are very, very good loans, and they help a lot of people get into homes across this country. So find a realtor that deals with FHA loans. And number 2, find a realtor that also deals with multifamily investment properties, anywhere from 2 to 4 units. If you can find that match, then that's awesome. That's probably somebody you want to try to work with in terms of buying these properties or multifamily properties with FHA loans. If you can't, reach out to me and I'm happy to help search for you to find somebody that would fit what your needs are. I think the most important thing is that when you're looking for a realtor, you need to trust them. So find one that you trust. Step number 4 is going to be to make an offer on a property. So one of the things that I always want to make sure that you do when you're buying multi-family property is remember that this is a business or an investment that you're going to have going forward. This thing is going to produce income for you passively. And now, hopefully, it's going to be enough that is going to offset your monthly payment and maybe even some positive cash flow. But down the road, when you decide to move out of the property, and let's say that it's a 4-unit property, let's have that all 4 units should be generating income for you. And hopefully that'll be a really positive cash flow going forward. So just remember that when you're looking at things like, is this kitchen updated or not? what's the curb appeal like? Really run the numbers and figure out how much this property could rent for. That's the main thing going forward, because cash flow is going to be really important for you at some point down the road when you're buying these multifamily properties. So don't get caught up in the vanity type stuff of properties when you're looking at them. That's not to say that, you know, you can buy a property with a cracked foundation. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying really trust the reports that you're going to get during the process. Like, is it livable? Is it going to be able to give us a good rental income? Those are the things that we want to make sure of. So when you make an offer on the property, we're going to definitely do an appraisal. And what the appraiser is going to do is also determine the value of the property, their estimated value of the property, but they're also going to determine what the market rent is for the property. So when you find out what the market rent of the property is, maybe the rents right now are low and you could actually raise the rents going forward to bring it up to what the market is. So that could be an improvement of cash flow for you. So another thing to consider when you are buying these properties and you're in the offer process or in the actual contract process itself. And then lastly, what we want to do is close on the deal. And remember, again, that this is a business investment. You're going to try to get a rate of return on your money that you're going to be putting for the down payment on there. You want money coming back towards you. You want that payment at least to be offset completely. That's the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And if not, you want at least that plus some cash flow is what I would say when you're buying a multifamily property, because this is what we really want. If you find a really, really good deal and you have lots of positive cash flow, then that's even better. So that's what I would ultimately want for you when you're buying a multifamily property with an FHA loan. Hey, I really appreciate you watching this. If you really like this content and you're going to buy an FHA multi-unit property, I'll put my Calendly link down below. Click on that. Let's have an appointment. Let's talk for 15 or 20 minutes about what you're looking to do. And as soon as you get to that point and we have an appointment, let's figure out how to make it work for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to chatting with you really soon. Have a good day, guys. Bye.